And it's, well, explain what you did, man.
I don't know if I'd call it pure reaction, but what I did was, Tomas, over several months, as things developed, we went back and forth a lot. He came by the house, and I started to develop a sense of how I wanted to do it. But the important thing was to be true to the music and to just let the inspiration just flow, because we're talking about some of the greats of American culture, Miles Davis, on and on. And then we have the local people, people like Daniel Jackson, a great saxophonist. I've recorded him at the house on a number of occasions, and we have a couple of things that Daniel did on the album. Joe Murillo, I recorded at the house a number of times, and it was an interesting process that we can talk about perhaps later. So anyway, but there were things, a friend of mine came by, I had him do some harmon mute. We've got a really good Miles feel, so there's some good Miles stuff on the album as well. And some originals of mine, and some things that I think you'll really dig in terms of the feel. Some real good funky stuff. Go ahead, Tom.
I remember Miles. The man with the chiseled face, black agate eyes, and golden trumpet, whose soulful chords and blue notes soar through space and time to inspire jazz lovers everywhere. Miles invites Leela and me to his pad. She drives a VW like a bumper car through the Bronx battle zone, into the heart of it, while I cringe as she careens down the crowded canyons of Manhattan. It's fall and dusk creeps across the Hudson when foxy Leela and I stand on the stoop of Miles' brownstone, buzzing like supplicants. His sandpaper whisper invites us upstairs to his boudoir. Miles hugs Leela as his would-be, and we recline on his huge bed as he displays his rainbow wardrobe and orders drinks from Maria. I volunteer to help. Miles says, "She is the help." Miles is built like a featherweight, small and lean, smooth cobalt skin. "Listen to this," he rasps, as he fits a tape into a player, and we listen in rapt attention to his combo's last creation. It's just after his divorce from Betty, and Miles is bitter. It's bitches, bitches, bitches. Miles is bitter as he chops out a thin white line on the wide ebony bar, wearing his tux with the bow and tie, humming all blues, all blues. I'll never forget spending that weekend hanging out with Miles, thanks to Leela. She was one of my brother's ex-girlfriends. Jim and Andy's After Hours. I'm dining at the Red Fox with my old friend Ann Williams as the piano player serenades us with one of our favorites, Body and Soul. Ann is an adopted child who grew up on a farm in Mount Vernon, Ohio, where they have a big sign hanging out with home of Daniel Emmett, who wrote Dixie. She tells me about her life in the Big Apple as a jazz singer in the 60s, hanging out with jazz stars and sidemen at Jim and Andy's on 48th and 6th Avenue. After the clubs closed and the luminaries of jazz gathered to jam with the jukebox. How Jerry Mulligan pressed her against the wall, whispering in her ear, "Your album cover should be above mine, and I should be on top of you." How one evening while dining and drinking, Lena leaned over and whispered in her ear, "Would you like to have an affair?" And the night Sarah Vaughan arrived after singing at Basin Street East, and Ann told her, "You gave me the thrill of my life tonight. You are the nearest thing to singing like an angel I've ever heard." Sarah stood up and said, "Oh shit," and walked out the door. You all know Ann Williams? Remember Ann Williams? Any of you? She settled here and lived here for many years. She's a really good friend of mine. And she was very helpful to me getting started here in San Diego. We're going to go on a little trip now down to the Caribbean. Richard has on the CD, he has put to music several of my Cuban poems, many of which appeared in my bilingual edition, Vientos de Cambio, Winds of Change, and it's Los Cubanos, and you're going to love it. It's that Latin, that Afro-Latin beat he's got. El ritmo cubano. Whether I'm sitting in Teatro Heredia in Santiago at sundown, savoring my mojito and puffing a cohiba, digging down son, bolero y son, or at Club La Zora y El Cuervo in Santiago, and in El Vedado at midnight, sipping my Havana Club, digging Afro-Cuban jazz, I'm celebrating the rights of rum and Yoruba, rumba, rumba rhythm. When I finish my mojito, I join the throng on El Malecón, celebrating at sunrise the rights of rum and Yoruba, rumba, rumba rhythm. Yoruba, rumba rhythm. El ritmo cubano. And I recommend you all get down to Cuba before Starbucks and Kentucky Fried Chicken and what's the other place? McDonald's. now we'll venture south. Bienvenido, compañero. Sign up. You're going to read a poem? Bahia, for the beautiful Baianas. And we have a Brazilian here, beautiful Brazilian here. She's not from Bahia, she's from south of Bahia, but Brazil. I always call Brazil a big Cuba, and Cuba a little Brazil. The girls of Bahia take my breath away as they swing and sway to the beat of candomblé. I keep coming back to sun and sand, to swim in the bay and sip guaraná. Bronze black bodies bounce soccer balls on swaying hips. The girls of Bahia take my breath away as they swing and sway to the beat of candomblé. It's not over yet. Butterflies flutter and flash on cresting waves as Bahian sun sets to rhythm of drum and whisper of wind. The girls of Bahia take my breath away as they swing and sway to the beat of candomblé. Bahia, Bahia. Obrigado. Muito obrigado. Where's Sylvia tonight? She couldn't make it. There's my man, Charles McPherson, ladies and gentlemen. Probably the leading jazz sax player in the world today. Just arrived without his axe, unfortunately. And maybe he'll croon a tune, I don't know. I've never heard him sing Bienvenido. We're going to now go to Portugal, catacumbas. In French, it's catacombas. In English, catacombas. Strange name for a bar and club, but that's what it's called, catacumbas. In a Lisboa jazz bar around midnight on Rua da Rosa, I'm talking to Marcos, the 20-something seminarian, who tells me about his secret love affair with what he gleefully calls the devil's music. In black and white photos behind the bar, back in the day, Robert Nighthawk is playing his slide guitar on Maxwell Street in Chicago. And to his left, Muddy Waters, eyes shut, strumming his guitar and humming. On the opposite wall, there's Miles, caressing his charismatic horn. And in a golden frame, Lady Day, face and necklace aglow in Satchmo's shining trumpet. A million miles from home, I grin and shake my head, while sincere celibate Marcos belts out Crossroad Blues. And the spirit takes us back to the Mississippi Delta, where the blues was born and black folks were crucified on the cross of King Cotton. Then he pulls out his B-flat harp and it's Kansas City, St. Louis, Memphis, and Chicago. Christ, am I really in Barro Alto digging the blues in candlelight? In the back, in the dim light of Moorish lamps, two ladies in strapless dresses are sipping and shaking their shapely derrieres, while high up under glass, Diz in his black beret stands 1 foot crossing the other on tiptoe, back arched, blissfully wailing, cradling his horn. Catacombas. Thank you very much. Okay, this is for all of us now. This poem is titled Friday Night at Rebecca's. That's where we are, Friday night at Rebecca's. Where guys and gals gather to celebrate the word made music by San Diego's godfather of jazz, Joe Barillo, and his rhythmic crew. Who play for tips, get down and jam. It's jazz, jazz, jazz until the joint is jumping. Brothers and sisters getting down to the wailing, crooning sax. Dancing keyboards. And funky beat. Can you dig it? I can. Joe Murillo passed away, you know. Since Charles McPherson's here, I'm going to do a poem and pay some tribute to him. It's called Rhapsody in Bliss. Saturday night jazz at the Jacobs, where America's classical music is celebrated by living jazz legends before throngs of jazz lovers who swoon and sway to swinging rhythm and melodies, serenading from the symphony stage. Led by trumpet maestro Gilbert Castellanos, Charles McPherson's sax seizes the stage, and we ascend into starlit sky, where we revel and rejoice in jazz heaven with the legends of jazz. Charles McPherson, a living legend of jazz. We are honored to have you with us today. And I'm going to end up with Jazz Heaven, and then we're going to have other people come up and do their thing. I'll read your names off the list. Yeah. Jazz Heaven. Downtown San Diego, Saturday night. Digging the beat on India Street. As Daniel Jackson's sax serenades from the balcony of bliss, where I scribble a line while keeping time, digging the beat on India Street. Inside Anthology on Stage, Stanley Clarke is plucking his strings. And the sticks are stroking sensuous cymbals and skins. As I sip red wine, the melody and rhythm ascend with me to jazz heaven. Jazz heaven. Thank you.
Tom Gayton, ladies and gentlemen. Tom Gayton, Tomas.
Okay, you're going to sing happy birthday. Whose birthday? Charles, is it your birthday? Yeah. How old are you, about 39, Jack Benny's age? See Rhonda Nefu's here and some others. Jazz 88.3 folks. Thank you for coming, celebrating the word made music. The first poet I have down here is